What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC Vegas 101. We have Amanda Ribas going against Mackenzie Dern. And yeah, right back into it here for 2025, the first card of the year. We're kicking it off with a 14-fight card. And yeah, I think it's a good card overall. I think there's a lot of very solid fights on this card, some really sneaky bangers as well, and I can't wait to break it all down from a betting perspective. Before we get into the video, if you guys could like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment. All three of those things go a very long way. If you guys do want to go the extra mile and support me more, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. That's where you'll find all my other content, whether that's betting or DraftKings, and it's the best way to support me overall. And I'm going to be doing something slightly new with the betting breakdown video this year. I'm going to be trying to get it out a lot earlier. What I've done in the past is kind of wait till I have all my bets in and then do the video, but at that point, it kind of ends up being posted at like Saturday in the afternoon. So I'm just going to go through all the bets I have currently and then go through the card from a betting perspective, but I will potentially add bets after the video is dropped is the only thing. So I just don't want to post it like so late. It's kind of, I know it annoys some people, but I want to get the video out, the betting breakdown video out. I'm aiming for like after weigh-ins for this year. So yeah, looking, and if I add anything, of course, you know, the guys on the website, dfsbythenumbers.com, you'll get it. And then I'll also post it in the comments as well if I do add something after the video drops, which more than likely not is going to happen quite a bit. But yeah, I do want to get the video out a lot earlier this year. All right, with all that out of the way, I say we get into it here. We're going to start with the first fight of the card, and we have Aliev going against Joe Solecki. And yeah, this is my first bet of 2025. It's a quarter unit shot on a line that I just think it's off. It's Joe Solecki by submission, quarter unit plus 1,500. That's his money line. I mean, Joe Solecki's not going out there and winning a decision in this fight. He's not going out there and knocking out anybody. If he's winning this fight, it's winning it by submission, and he's going to get opportunities. It's one of those spots where it's like, Aliev's going to take the fight down to the mat. He does it in every single fight. He's put himself into bad spots, and that's Joe Solecki's game. He's content to get taken down, play off his back, and at plus 1,500, if you're going to give me, 2 or 3 submission attempts across the duration of the fight, that's a bet I got to take. Plus 1,500 just makes no sense. That's literally his one and only win condition. So yeah, small quarter unit sprinkle on that. Of course, I do think the most likely scenario is Aliev by decision, but his decision prop is like the worst line I think I've ever seen. I mean, on some books, it's like minus 300 for his decision prop. I mean, you just don't see that all too often. But yeah, it's probably Aliev by decision, but that Joe Solecki submission prop, I had to take a quarter unit shot. Next, we got Fatima Klein going against Victoria Dudakova. And yeah, we have a massive favorite here in Fatima Klein. And I think it's warranted. I know it's crazy saying that, a female WMMA fighter should be minus 1,000 against anybody, but here, yeah, I kind of think it's warranted. She should be a pretty gigantic favorite. I just struggle to see a path to victory for Dudakova. Very high on Klein. On the opposite on Dudakova, I think that Klein's going to have a significant grappling advantage here. I think Klein's going to have a significant cardio advantage here, and I think Klein can potentially get a finish here. She talked about in her interview how she wants to come in here, making her strawweight debut and get the finish, kind of break Dudakova as the fight goes on, and it's on the table. We saw Dudakova slow down very badly against Jinh Frey. We saw Dudakova completely gas out against Sam Hughes. Like, she was gassed out in the second round, looking up at the clock. If Fatima Klein gets on top of her and she's gassed out, like, Klein has great ground and pound. She's a legit black belt in BJJ, training with Aaron Blanchfield. I think Klein's live for a late finish here, round 2, round 3. So I like Klein. I took her inside the distance, 0.75 units at plus 225. Yeah, I think the finish is there. The finish will be there. I think cardio is going to be huge here and could get that late finish. Next, we got Magomed Gadzhiyasulov going against Bruno Lopes. Complete pass. Not much to say here. I think the fight probably goes the distance, but the odds kind of indicate that in a sense that these overs have been obliterated all week. The fight goes to decisions, been smacked all week. Just don't really have a ton of interest in either of these guys. I don't trust either guy. Don't think either guy is that great. The pick is Gadzhiyasulov, but I don't want to lay minus 240 on the dude. Next, we got Ernesta Kareckaite going against Nicole Caliari. Yeah, another sketchy fight here. I would just tell anybody, kind of maybe tread lightly on Kareckaite minus 260 because she does have 2 gaping holes in her game. One is the strike and defense. She's very hittable. And then one is the non-existent takedown defense. And Caliari is a fighter that I just have still a ton of question marks about. I think there's a ton of unknowns. There's not a lot of recent footage of Nicole Caliari. So it's a lot of guesswork for me. At this line, it is a dogger pass. I'm not sure or not if I'm going to get there. Probably the smart move would just to stay away. If you like Ernesta, honestly, a live bet on Ernesta makes a ton of sense. She's somebody that kind of gets better as the fight goes on. I could see Nicole having success early, starting to slow down, and the best part about Ernesta's game is the cardio and the volume. So two really good things there. So maybe a live bet on Ernesta, I think, is a lot better than the minus 260, but pre-flop, it's probably a dogger pass. It's just there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of red flags here for me in this one, so not sure I'll get there. Next, we got Jacoby Smith going against Preston Parsons. Yeah, I like Smith here. He's like minus 600 now. I don't really love that. I mean, I think a lot could potentially go wrong. We got a UFC guy, UFC debut here, a Contender Series guy coming in here on short notice against the guy in Parsons, who I'm not the highest on, but this guy has been in the UFC for a while now. He's had some solid performances. But yeah, I am a big believer in Jacoby Smith. I'm a big believer in him in this matchup. I think that he's going to be able to dictate where this fight takes place. I think he'll be the better wrestler. I think that he has a ton of power in his hands, whether that's standing or whether that's with that ground and pound. So the pick is absolutely Smith. The question then comes, how does he get it done? I know a lot of people are on the decision, and maybe, I mean, I could potentially see it, but I think if this fight goes to decision, it will be a sweat. I think Smith's going to beat the crap out of Parsons. Whether he gets to finish or not, I'm not sure, but I think he's going to punch a hole in his face, I think, throughout the duration of the fight. Whether the ref stops it or not, we'll have to see. I think it all depends on who's the ref. Like, if Herzog's in there, this fight's going to decision, but if we get like a Mark Smith or something, I mean, he probably gets that TKO ground and pound. So we'll see, but nothing really sticking out. Thiago Moises going against Trey Ogden. Small bet here. Thiago Moises by submission plus 575 for a half a unit. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple here. I think these guys are going to mess around on the mat a little bit. Whether that's Trey Ogden going for takedowns, he said himself that's probably going to be the game plan, which, yeah, I like it. Moises is going to be the better submission grappler, the much more dangerous submission grappler as well. I think Moises is live for a submission off his back. I also think that Moises can potentially get takedowns, get to the back, and find a submission himself. Trey Ogden's been submitted 3 times, 2 of them by Thomas Gifford, guillotine. And yeah, I just think Moises is a very, very high-level grappler that's going to get some opportunities here in the grappling. So yeah, Moises submission plus 575. That line didn't make a ton of sense to me. I'm on it for a half unit. If Trey Ogden wins this fight, though, it's going to be the most boring fight on the card, and he's going to win by decision. If you're on Trey Ogden by decision at plus 250, plus 260, I think that's absolutely the best way to play him. And again, it'll be a horrible fight because like most Trey Ogden fights are terrible. But yeah, I'm on Moises' side, hoping he gets the submission there. Next, we got Marco Tulio going against Ihor Potieria. Big giant pass. I think Tulio wins. Minus 550. Guy making his debut off the Contender Series. I don't love it, and I also don't love the minus 180 for a knockout. I don't love really anything here. But yeah, Tulio, I think Tulio should roll. I was thinking maybe the over 1.5, but that's been hit throughout the week, and he very well could finish him early. But I'm kind of leaning more so Tulio round 2, round 3, maybe a decision. But yeah, just a complete mess here for me at least. But yeah, Tulio should roll. Jose Johnson, Felipe Bunes. Do not have a bet on this fight yet, but I can guarantee you that I will be adding a bet, and if I do, like I said, it'll be on the website, and I'll post it down in the comments and pin it. Violence. I love violence in this fight. I'm just debating on how much to play it for, because it is a flyweight fight, but when I'm looking at violence, I'm looking for guys with questionable durability. I'm looking for questionable cardio. I'm looking for, a knockout threat, a submission threat, and we have all of that. I mean, literally every box is checked there. Let's take a look. We have Jose Johnson, 69% finish rate, 50% by knockout, 19% by submission, has a sneaky submission game in his own right. I think Johnson can win by knockout or sub. Felipe Bunes, this guy throws down, this guy can crack, and he has a 62% submission rate, black belt in BJJ, and we take a look at their finish losses. Jose Johnson's been finished 5 times, 1 by knockout, 4 times by submission. I think Felipe Bunes is very live for a submission early, but as the fight goes on, I don't trust the cardio of Bunes, and I think Johnson can get a finish late, whether that's a knockout or whether that's a submission at some point. But I'm kind of seeing it as Bunes early, or Johnson could be early as well, but Johnson late. Both guys can finish. Both guys can be finished. I like the fight doesn't go at about a pick'em. Haven't bet it yet, but I can guarantee you I will be betting it. Uros Medic going against Punahele Soriano. I mean, this is I think a spot that I think has kind of burned me in the past, right? Like you tape the fight and you come up with a game plan in your mind, right? And it's like, what should the game plan be here for Punahele Soriano? And the answer to that is to wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. But it always doesn't play out that way. Like you come up with this game plan and they go out there and they strike, or maybe you want them to go out there and strike and they go out there and grapple. Like I have a weird feeling that Puna Soriano might just go out there and try to strike and swing with Uros Medic. If he does that, it could end up bad. The other thing is, if Soriano is getting takedowns, but Medic is getting back up, that's a problem. That's going to wear on the cardio of Soriano. And on the feet, I just don't think it's close. So I do see a path here for Soriano, but it's not something I'm running to the window for. I think people, including me, I think we might be overrating Soriano a little bit after his performance against Miguel Baeza, which was a great performance, but at the same time, it looked like Miguel Baeza just didn't want to be there. Uros Medic wants to be there. So at this line, it is a dog or pass, but I don't really love it, to be honest. But yeah, I couldn't lay minus 220 on Medic. I do think the takedown defense is questionable. The cardio is questionable. But at the same time, I just don't really trust Puna that much. So probably going to end up passing on that one. Next, we got Austin Bashi going against Christian Rodriguez. Bashi minus 265. Christian Rodriguez plus 225. Nothing here for me. It's pretty funny. A lot of people are split really right down the middle in this fight. On one side, you have people saying Austin Bashi's easy money. And then on the other side, you have people saying Christian Rodriguez is, a great bet, great live dog. And I can kind of see, the argument for both sides. With Bashi, you have a guy that this guy's the future. I think this guy's the real deal. Only 23 years old, good everywhere, great wrestler, BJJ black belt, incredible on the ground, can push a pace, has great cardio, just like everything about Austin Bashi. And on the flip side, you got Christian Rodriguez, who has that narrative of, the prospect killer. This guy's 3-0 against undefeated guys in the UFC, and now he's getting another undefeated guy. But for me personally, the difference between Dulgarian and Raul Rosas, who I think are very good fighters, especially Dulgarian, but the difference between them and Bashi is Bashi has great cardio. Bashi can go 15 minutes. Bashi can go 25 minutes, whereas Dulgarian, he doesn't pace himself. We saw him completely death-gassed in the Rodriguez fight. And then Raul Rosas Jr. is doing a little bit better, but yeah, still in some fights cannot pace himself, completely slows down, and he was death-gassed in the third round of the Rodriguez fight. That's not Bashi. Bashi's not going to slow down. So I feel like Bashi's going to get takedowns here, but I feel like this fight could be a little bit closer than this line does indicate. So I'm going to be passing. I wish luck to whichever side you're on. I'm picking Bashi. Bashi probably by decision, but I just don't have a ton of interest in this price tag. I think it's a little bit disrespectful to Christian Rodriguez. Next, we got Roman Kopylov going against Chris Curtis. And nothing on this fight officially yet, but there are some spots I'm looking at. So this is a striker's delight. Neither of these guys are going for takedowns. I know we saw Kopylov get a million takedowns against Cesar Almeida. Almeida has trash takedown defense. We'll talk about him in a second. But yeah, Kopylov's not taking down Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis has elite takedown defense, and I think that would only be a mistake because that's only going to wear on the cardio of Kopylov. Chris Curtis has attempted, I think, and landed 0 takedowns in the UFC. These guys are going to strike. These guys are going to try to take each other's heads off. And there's some spots sticking out. So one thing I do want to mention is 58 fights combined between these two, only 1 knockout loss. So both these guys are extremely durable. On the flip side, though, both these guys are extremely dangerous. Chris Curtis, I think if he's winning, it's a knockout, at least for me. I mean, I don't think Chris Curtis is winning a decision here just because he's not a great minute winner. Even in a lot of his fights, like he's losing a lot of minutes and then he finds that big shot. I think if Chris Curtis is winning, it has to be a knockout. And then as far as Roman Kopylov, this guy clearly has a ton of power as well. Curtis has taken a lot of damage. He's been in a ton of fights in his career. So although both these guys are durable, maybe we see that durability kind of fade in this fight. Kopylov, the cardio has always been sketchy. So a spot that I'm kind of looking at here, and again, I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but there's a good chance I will, is Kopylov 2-3 KO and Chris Curtis 2-3 KO. I think both their 2-3s are really live actually here. These guys are 2-3 machines, especially Kopylov. Kopylov has like 12, 13 knockouts. Only one of them come in the first round. Both these guys are slow starters, so I think it might play out a little bit slowly early on, but when that round 2-3 hits, I think it's going to be like fireworks. And with guys that have this much power, this much firepower offensively, we could maybe see a second or third round knockout. So I'm kind of talking myself into, some of these late props for both guys. Both guys have 2-3 upside. And which brings me to the fight ending in round 2 prop and fight ending in round 3 prop, which I think is like plus 600 for round 2, plus 1,000 for round 3. So I might be playing both of those. I always play them in Kopylov fights because Kopylov fights, more often than not, they end in round 2. And if this fight gets to round 3, like that's a Curtis could potentially win there as well. So I like that ends round 2, ends round 3, and there's a good chance that I'll be hopping on that if I do. Again, it's on the website, and I'll be pinning it in the comments for you guys. All right. Next, we got Cesar Almeida going against Abdulrazak Alhassan. Nothing really sticking out here. The only thing I'll say is I am not sold on Cesar Almeida at all. Like, I'm not sold on this guy just at all. Really good kickboxer. That's about it. I mean, he's a really good kickboxer, but the cardio, I think, is questionable. The takedown defense is a major concern. I mean, if you're getting taken down by Ihor Potieria, I don't know what to tell you. If you're getting taken down by Roman Kopylov, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm looking at this fight, and it's like Alhassan has paths, and he's a big dog. Alhassan has first-round knockout upside. He can knock out most guys in the division in those first 5 minutes, right? He's done it in every single fight but one. In the one fight where he didn't get a first-round knockout, he got it in the first minute of the second round. So I think Alhassan first-round knockout is in play. I wouldn't play that prop. It's a horrible price. They're all over it. But what I did take a shot on, and call me crazy, but Abdulrazak Alhassan by decision at plus 1,000 because I can see it really clearly. I think this fight goes the distance. I think it's sweaty. I think it's greasy. I think it's cage pushy. I think both of these guys are going to be exhausted. I think it could look a little bit like the Buckley fight, the Alhassan-Buckley fight. And we saw in that third round, Alhassan was getting takedowns against Buckley. Alhassan was getting him down tied or not, was able to fight through it. So, and like I said, Almeida, this guy has no takedown defense. So I think Alhassan can potentially win minutes here, getting the fight down to the ground. So hot take, crazy take of the week, but I think Alhassan decision plus 1,000 holds value. I don't think anybody should have a decision prop at plus 1,000. We've seen some crazy stuff happen this last 2 years. Like Jailton Almeida won a 25-minute decision against Derek Lewis, mounting him for 25 minutes, right? We've seen just crazy stuff happen over the span of the last 2 years. So yeah, Alhassan, a decision, quarter unit sprinkle. It's not something to go crazy on, but if this fight does go 15, I think he has that wrestling upside. Next, we have Carlston Harris going against Santiago Ponzinibbio. I made my first bet of the week here. Me and Weezy talked about it on Stat Diggers on Sunday. I like the under 1.5. I got it at plus 110. I have 1 unit on it. That line has been obliterated throughout the week, which kind of scares me. A lot of people are on it, but yeah, I like violence here. Again, we talked about the Johnson-Bunes fight where both guys lack durability. Both guys have that firepower. Same thing here. Both guys, I think they really lack durability here. Carlston Harris, 37, 38 years old at this point. I think he's always had very sketchy durability, but now especially at 37, 38, now especially after coming off of a first-round knockout loss, I think the durability is seriously in question here for Carlston Harris. Been knocked out 3 times. Santiago Ponzinibbio, at one point, super durable, but throughout the span of his career, he's battled injuries, he's battled some serious stuff, he's had massive layoffs, and nowadays, I don't think he has a great chin. He's getting dropped by Alex Morono. He's getting knocked out by Kevin Holland. He's getting hurt by Muslim Salikov. He's getting knocked out by the Leech. I mean, this guy, I think the durability, which was once there, it's no longer there. So both guys, I think, are chinny. Both guys are getting up there in age. And Carlston Harris also has a grappling path as well. Really good front chokes. Could see maybe a club and sub. So yeah, I don't want to pick a side here. If anything, honestly, it's a dog or pass. I don't know how anybody can trust either one of these guys, let alone laying chalk on them. But I do think somebody gets served here. So I'm on the under 1 unit at plus 110. And hopefully the CLV curse does not bite me in the butt. All right, and then we got the main event. Hate to be a Debbie Downer, but I don't really care about this fight from a betting perspective. I'm picking Hebos. I'm picking Hebos by decision, but I don't love it. I don't love the line. You can make a case for Dern. This is a completely different fight than they had 5-6 years ago. Dern has improved leaps and bounds. Her striking used to be completely atrocious, and now it's just atrocious. Her wrestling used to be completely atrocious, and now it's just atrocious. So she has improved. The striking still is not great. The wrestling still is not great, but it's just gotten so much better than what it once was, which was really, really bad. I think at one point she had like a 9% takedown accuracy, just really, really rough. So yeah, I think Hibas, the better striker, great takedown defense, can dictate where this fight takes place, but Hibas, really chinny. And yeah, like I said, Dern's just, she's better. She's a lot better than she once was. So I don't really want anything to do with this main event. All right. That is about all I got for you guys. So official bets right now, the Harris Ponzinibbio under 2.5 rounds, 1 unit plus 110. Thiago Moises by submission, half a unit plus 575. We got Fatima Klein inside the distance, 0.75 units plus 225. Joe Solecki by submission, quarter unit plus 1,500. Abdulrazak Alhassan by decision, quarter unit plus 1,000. And then, like I said, the spots I'm looking at adding would be Jose Johnson, Bunes, fight doesn't go to decision. That will be 110% added. Just don't know how much I'm going on that yet. And maybe like a Kopylov Curtis ends 2-3. I think that's sneaky. And I think at the very least they're going to absolutely throw down in the latter half of the fight. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for this week. Not going too crazy for the first card of the year. These lines have been out for a while. Had a lot of time to marinate. So typically with this first card, I kind of like to get my feet wet a little bit and not go too crazy. But we've got a pay-per-view card next week, UFC 311. Be on the lookout for more content for that. And be on the lookout for Best Bet Saturday fight day, 2 o'clock Eastern time, 2 hours prior to the fights. And we'll see you guys there. Best of luck for UFC Vegas 101, and we'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.